In 1944, Normandy witnessed the largest amphibious invasion in military history. On D-Day, of all 5 landing beaches, Omaha would be the deadliest. American forces would wade ashore amongst a hail of machine gun fire against a determined and well dug in enemy. One soldier in particular would become infamous. The Beast of Omaha would fire relentlessly with his MG-42 into the landing craft. The legend has spawned numerous documentaries, and for numerous years, this controversial man has been the subject of discussion by historians and online. This is the Beast of Omaha, Heinrich Severloh. Armed with an MG-42, Severloh would fire 12,000 rounds in 9 hours. He would inflict 1,000 to 2,000 casualties. Or did he? In this video, I will explain why I believe Severloh grossly exaggerated his involvement on D-Day, using the words in his own book, WN62, ghost written by a German historian. Severloh was born into a farming family in Metzingen, in the Lunenburg Heath area of North Germany. In 1941, at the age of 19, Severloh was conscripted into the Wehrmacht. Following basic and mounted training in Hanover, Severloh was transferred to occupied France, joining the 321st Artillery Regiment. However, Severloh did not get off to a good start.
But only 2 days later I reported to the Divisional Infirmary, located at Champagne, with rheumatic pain that I had acquired on the trip.
Severloh returned to complete his mounted training, and along with the rest of the unit, his division was transferred to the Eastern Front. In his role as a teamster, Severloh was assigned to the rear, ferrying supplies using horse-drawn sleighs. In March 1943, Severloh was punished for dissenting remarks following a public outburst. Severloh was forced to perform physical exercises in the snow, which resulted in him becoming infirm again. Transferred to a military hospital in Dresden, Severloh would now begin a long period of convalescence and would be sent back home to recuperate. In October 1943, Severloh would be recalled back to his division, which was now based in Normandy, France, reconstituted as the 352nd Infantry Division. Severloh was dismayed.
When I arrived in Normandy, I had to, and wanted, now to go my own way, and from now on was only going to think about how to work things out to my own best advantage.
Severloh was assigned to the 352nd Artillery Regiment, located a few kilometres south of what would be Omaha Beach. While his comrades settled into their duties, Severloh would report to the doctor, who would say,
"No more riding on a horse. You also can't perform any infantry duties. And also no running."
On parade, Severloh would be the last to fall in. He had a total disregard for authority.
Whenever someone gave me the order to move out, I answered with the most ingenious expression I could manage. "I'm not allowed to. The doctor in charge has forbidden it."
Exasperated by Severloh's intransigence, he was assigned to the only duty that was deemed suitable: personal orderly for Bernhard Frerking. Frerking, a 32-year-old former schoolteacher, was someone who Severloh said he could trust and with whom had a good rapport. As the forward observation officer, he would be positioned far ahead of the battery and direct fire from his observation bunker, right on WN62. WN62 was one of many resistance nests overlooking Omaha Beach. Along with WN61, these strongpoints defended the exit from the beach to Colville-sur-Mer. The observation bunker would sit at the heart of WN62. Frerking would occupy the bunker with 2 other men. From inside the bunker, the observation team would have direct sight over Easy Red and Fox Green Beach. So-55, Severloh and Frerking arrived at WN62. Reports of parachute landings and heavy naval activity had meant that the coastal units had been put on alert. Severloh would take his position just 7 metres to the right of the observation bunker. The distinctive U-shape denotes that this position was designated for a heavy machine gun. In his book, Severloh tells us that his arc of fire was covering to the west of WN62 across Easy Red Beach. The sector to the front was covered by at least 3 machine guns, 2 of which were Polish water-cooled MG-08s. The MG-08 furthest to the right was manned by Franz Gockel. Gockel would fire his MG-08 relentlessly until he was wounded about midday. Gockel would survive the day and would live to tell his tale. Some people have questioned if Heinrich Severloh even had an MG-42 on D-Day, given his position as a mounted teamster and then a lowly officer's orderly. However, light machine guns were integral to infantry squads, so all soldiers would have received training in their use. And if we look at the organisation, each battery of 2 sections would have had 4 LMGs for defence. Given that Severloh's position was designed for an MG-42, it's fair to assume that Severloh did have an MG-42, but not in the heavy role as depicted here, but in the light role using a bipod.
Shortly before 06:30, I noticed a large thin and tall boat in our bay. It was a troop landing ship with a shallow hull and pointed bow, on either side of which large gangplanks were lowered.
The first boats to come ashore that day were the small landing craft, LCAs and LCVPs. But Severloh says the first boat he saw was an LCI. The first LCI ashore landed on Easy Red at 07:35, over an hour later than when Severloh reports seeing one for the first time. The first units to land in front of Severloh on Easy Red were the assault elements of E and F Company of the 16th Infantry. 2 sections of the 29th Infantry Division also landed here, carried by the tide. Severloh now goes on to describe another bizarre situation.
I didn't know what would happen now, and went to the small observation post where Frerking was already standing on the flat roof. I offered him a cigarette. Our hands shook as we lit the cigarettes.
Severloh claims that between the waves of landing craft, both he and Frerking stood and shared a cigarette on top of the observation bunker. This is a remarkable claim. Both men would have been clearly visible to the assaulting infantry, engineers and landing craft approaching the beach.
At around 1400, I noticed 6 US tanks on the upper beach, somewhat further left of me, moving toward our sector.
In fact, tanks arrived on Severloh's sector of the beach with the first waves of infantry. 3 DD tanks were landed directly onto the beach from the LCT. These were followed by wading tanks, also landed directly onto the beach. Aerial photographs show these tanks on Easy Red Beach. And Robert Capa, who landed on Easy Red Beach, photographed these same tanks. The tanks that landed on this sector of the beach would play a crucial role in silencing WN62. Early in the morning, the tanks would silence the two giant casemates, making it easy for the troops to move off the beach on Easy Red. Incredibly, Severloh only says he sights these tanks 7 hours after they land and 7 hours after they take out both casemates.
It was certainly more than 1,000. More than likely, more than 2,000 men.
This is by far the most famous and outrageous claim made by Heinrich Severloh. Before we explore Severloh's claim in detail, it's important to look in detail at the events that took place in Heinrich Severloh's sector on Easy Red Beach. John Spalding's assault section was one of the first to land on Easy Red Beach that morning. Spalding's section would make their way off the beach and up onto the bluffs. This would be one of the earliest breaches of the German defences that morning.
Our first casualty came at the water's edge. Private William C. Roper was hit in the foot by small arms fire, just as he hit the beach. Just after we got ashore, one of my 2 BAR men was hit. PFC Virgil Tilley was hit in the right shoulder. On our left, we had bypassed a pillbox, from which machine gun fire was coming and mowing down F Company people 100 yards to our left.
Spalding's description of a pillbox is most likely one of the dugouts for the MG08s to his left. Spalding wasn't alone that morning. He would be joined by Captain Dawson of G Company. Dawson would follow the exact same route that Spalding took. After reconnoitring the route, Dawson would return and lead the company back up to the bluff and on towards Colville. Shortly after Spalding and Dawson breached the bluffs, a combat photographer, Robert Capa, would land on this sector of Easy Red. Capa's famous photographs from that morning would reveal more about the sector of Easy Red. In this photo, we can see that the soldiers are sheltering from fire coming from their right, not from Severloh's position to the left. And here we can see the gun of this tank is also pointed at positions to the right. This sector of Easy Red was where Spalding and Dawson would breach the bluffs, where Capa would land and take his photographs. It was also here where the engineers cleared the largest gap in the obstacles of any of the sectors on Omaha Beach. In this famous photograph by Robert Capa, we can see engineers clearing one of those obstacles. All this was achieved under the very nose of Heinrich Severloh. So what were the casualties for the Americans on D-Day on Omaha Beach? According to Joseph Balkowski, figures for the 1st Infantry Division were 1,346 casualties. And for the 29th Infantry, 1,272 casualties. Severloh's claim of inflicting nearly 2,000 casualties would mean he was responsible for almost half of the casualties on Omaha Beach that morning. It would be impossible for Severloh's MG42 to cover the whole of the 4-mile beach. It also ignores the bloodshed caused by the other Widerstands nests, particularly at Vierville, where A Company of the 116th Regiment were almost wiped out. WN62 was one out of 12 resistance nests. Facing the Americans were 85 machine guns, 18 field guns, 2 88mm anti-tank guns, 6 81mm mortars, and perhaps responsible for the most casualties were the artillery guns positioned to the rear of Omaha Beach. These guns fired at pre-sighted targets until midday when ammunition stocks ran out. So what were the casualties for the assault troops in front of WN62 and WN61? The troops of the 2nd Battalion faced multiple machine guns from positions at WN62 and WN61. The official casualty list, recorded 2 days after D-Day, records 336 casualties. I believe much of Severloh's testimony for that day is untrue.